Yeah. So today our main agenda is to understand what exactly the data analyst as a role of data analyst and BA developer. So BI means so we are going to start working on as a data analyst or BI developer. BI means business intelligence. So what exactly this BI is going to be. So as a BI developer, what you are going to do in the in the software industry, what roles that you are going to have it, so how the data comes. So mainly the data analyst role is going to be a we are going to have some data, and on that data we are going to first we bring the data, then we are going to clean the data, then after we are going to do the data model, then we understand the metrics like dimensions and measure, then after we create a beautiful visualizations, and we create insights, then after we are going to publish. So this is a complete role, actually a step by step role. So today what I'll do, I'll explain how the overview how this data is moving, how the data is moving, and what kind of data we are going to handle. So these kind of things today we are going to discuss. So basically before that, so because there are some non-technical people are there, so for them, I'm going to explain a step-by-step process, what is business intelligence, so why it is, what is the need of it, so why previously why we don't have this BA. So those kind of things we are going to learn in this today's concept. So mainly what I'll do, so I will give the overview of BA. So that is a demo of this today's session, okay, so that you can understand. So what you are going to do it when you get a job. So that is the main thing that you can come to know in this class today, okay. So let's get started. So here, as a BI developer, so what is the meaning of this BI? You already know that is a business intelligence, okay. Business intelligence. BI means business intelligence. What does exactly the BI means? So we are going to have some data, and we are going to make them as we understand that information, and we create some insights, and by using that insights we are going to take some decision. So that is how BI is going to be defined. So what is BI actually? So by using these BI tools, we are going to understand the data, and we create some from that data we are going to understand the business, and we can take some decisions. So that is how the BI is going to be helpful. So what is BI in the, what how it is there are many BI tools are there. By using that BI tools, we are going to understand the data, and we track the information, and we are going to create insights. By using that insights, the users are going to take some decisions from that. Okay, so by understanding the data, the users are going to be take some decisions after finalizing the report. Okay, for to make you understand, for example, there is a coffee shop, and so there are multiple coffee shops are there in the market. Okay, so here, first we are going to understand that which store is having more profit, and which place this is having more profit, on which product that the prices are on which product the prices are less and profit is more, and at what time the people are coming more, and what product that we have less sales. So these kind of understanding that can be done by using this BA tools. Okay, so this kind of information we are going to. So for if you take a coffee shop as an example, so here we have a complete uh, like you know uh, we are going to take this coffee shop as an example, and I will explain how the BI tools are going to be working. So here first, if you see here, if you go to the coffee shop or in any market, so for this we need a like you know we need some cups, and we have some ingredients are required, so that we are going to take it as a raw data, so the raw data for a coffee shop is you can take that. So cups and ingredients, right? So we are going to have some ingredients means like some things like you have you need to you need to have sugar or like you need to have like coffee powder and like those kind of things, the ingredients. And so this kind of data we are going to collect it at one place, so that we are going to take that. Then after we are going to process this data. So how we are going to process it to make that coffee? What we are going to do, we are going to prepare this coffee, like what is the preparation. So we are going to prepare data. So how we are going to prepare data here? So we are going to mix the things. Okay, so we are going to mix the things, and we are going to create a we are going to mix water and mix milk like kind of thing. We are going to create some kind of data preparation. So it is not only for the coffee shop, you can take any business, and you can take an example. Okay, simple. And so then after preparation, we are going to do some kind of like data modeling. So what is the data modeling in the sense here? Here we are going to do some flaming, and we are going to do some kind of data like preparation kind of thing, cleaning kind of thing. Okay, so that we are going to do here. And after that, the end product we are going to have it as a coffee, the dashboard. Here we are going to create a final step, we are going to create a dashboard. So this is going to be a the tea or coffee is ready. Then this is a one way of we are going to uh, understand the data. Then after we are going to serving, here publishing. Okay, here we are going to publishing the dashboards, where we are going to publishing. So so the publishing is nothing but serving a coffee, serving in the sense the end product we are going to give it to some others, serving coffee likewise. So this is a basic, we can make understand. So this is how the business intelligence tools are going to be work. Okay, we can take not only that coffee shop example, so we can take any kind of a store or medical store. So those kind of analysis we are going to do it. So to make you understand, here first, how many as a BA process, in the BA process flow, so how we are going to understand it. So first, it's a overall overview. So as a data analyst or BI developer, we are going to understand the data and we create some dashboards. So to create dashboard, what is required? Data is required, right? So the data is required. So as a data analyst or BI developer, so data analyst, process flow. I'm going to tell you how this process is going to be, or a BA process, we can say business intelligence process flow. So so here how this process is going to be work out, here we'll see. So first step, we need data to understand that, to create dashboard, what is required? Data is required. So the first step is to data collection, means we have to collect the data. Okay, so on collection of data only we can bring the data. Like data may be in Excel, data may be in SQL Server database, maybe in Oracle, or maybe in Snowflake, maybe in the Redshift. So there are many different databases out there. I make you understand what is database and what is the data. So those kind of things I will tell you later. So before that, what BA means, here business intelligence, we are going to get the data. Then after we are going to make that some we read some information from the data, and from this, we create some insights, or some visualizations we are going to create. Then after we are going to take the decisions. What decisions? The decisions are like the problem. If by using this data we can understand the data, and we can create some decisions, for example, how much profit it is happened in the last quarter, how much loss we got on which product. So on which time period we got profit, or which time period we got loss. Those kind of things that we are going to get it. So if you understand this, this is the basic use of this BI is to take the right decisions. Okay, as a BI developer, we are not only going to develop the dashboard, we are going to analyze the business, and from the out of this data, we are going to take some decisions from the data. So that is the main important of this BI. Okay, so because so there are lots of millions of rows and we are going to have the rows and columns. So to read all the rows and columns, it will take a lot of time. So to sort out this issue and to understand the business very easily, so the market has invented these BI tools. Okay, so there are many BI tools are there. We'll see that later. But there are Power BI, Tableau, QuickSense, QuickSight, there are MicroStrategy and so Cognos and Google Analytics. So there are many reporting tools are there. So but how this BI is going to be work, I'll explain that process first. Okay, so that you are going to be understood how these tools are going to be work, where you are going to be start with and where it is going to be end with. So that is like that is a first class we are going to take it up. So first we need a data to understand the business. So for that we are going to take the we are going to consider we are going to bring the data from data sources. That is, we are going to call it as a data collection. Then what we are going to do, we are going to bring it and we are going to store the data in particular location. Sometimes if you connect with the data, sometimes you can connect with live data, or sometimes you can bring the data and you can store it into somewhere, and you are going to then do the data process. So next step is going to be data storage. First we bring the data and we can store into some places. Okay, so that is called data storage. So then we are going to do the data cleaning and we understand the data. Then after we are going to do the data cleaning or data preparation. Okay, so we are going to do the data preparation. So here, what is the data preparation? Data preparation in the sense, here we are going to clean some unwanted null values or repeated data, or we are going to change the date formats, or we are going to change it to required data types. So likewise we are going to do the data preparation. So first step is to we need to bring the data, where exactly the data collection means, where exactly the data sources are, how it is there. So we are going to understand that where the sources, what type of sources are there in the data. Second, we bring it and we store it into one particular place. Okay, so that is the data storage. And third one, we are going to do the data preparation. Okay, so then if you see the fourth step, we are going to do the data modeling preparation. In the sense, what we are going to do it, so I'll write this, I will explain it later. First we'll write how many steps we are going to do it as a BA developer. So now then the next step is data modeling. So what is this data modeling? So data modeling in the sense, for sometimes we are going to have only five to we are going to have more number of tables, 10 tables or 11, 12, 13 or 14. Likewise there are many tables, we need to combine it. So that joining is going to be takes place in the data modeling. So maybe so the joining we are going to call it as a data modeling. How we are going to join it means, there are schemas are there, like star schema, like snowflake schema, but most of the time for performance issues we will use star schema. So that is we are going to see it. So what is data modeling? We are combining the multiple tables. That is, you have to remember, for example there are two or more tables and you want to get the data from both the tables, then we have to do some kind of data modeling in the sense, joining the tables by using relationships, or by using the schemas like star schema. There we are going to use that relationship. We'll explain that later step by step. So this is the joining is happened. Okay, now then after combining the multiple tables, what we are going to do? So next we understand what are dimensions are there and what are measures are there, and from that what KPIs we are creating, and from that what insights we are going to create, what calculations we are going to create. So those kind of things happen after data modeling. So this what is dimension, what is measures, and what are metrics, and what are calculations, we'll see that. But before that, what I'm going to write it, so here I'm going to write it. So after data collection, then storage, then preparation and modeling, then we are going to create some calculations, and we are going to create some metrics, metrics, and we are going to do some kind of calculations. So this calculations, after the calculation, we create visualization. What we are going to do? We are going to create the visualizations. Visualizations in the sense, we are going to do create some bar chart, line chart, trend chart, pie chart, tree map, heat map, etc. We are going to create those kind of those kind of charts we are going to create it in the data visualization. How, why, what is the need of it? So visualizations are going to be summarize the data, and it will aggregate the data, it will reduce the number of rows, and it will show in the aggregated format. So how the aggregated formats, those kind of things that is going, you can we are going to understand later, down the line, so we can understand it. So okay, so the next we actually the sixth step is visualization. So, and the seventh step we are going to, after completion, this is the dashboard development. So after that, what we are going to do, we are going to publishing. So where we are going to publishing, or we can do the sharing, where we are going to share, to see for whom, we are going to develop the dashboard, maybe clients or stakeholders. So to see that, if they are they want to see the report how it is, and they want to understand the business, so they are going to analyze these dashboards, and they can take the decisions. So for them, to visible their dashboards, so we are going to publish into a cloud, in the servers. Okay, so that they can able to see in the servers. So that is called publishing and sharing. Okay, so then after, we are not going to be openly public, so we are not going to be keep it as a public, so we are going to give some security to this. So that is called, we are going to provide the security at the server level. Okay, security at the server. What is security means? For example, if we have India, we have different regions, like north, east, south, west. So likewise, so for example, if the some projects is on some region, some projects is going to happen in some region, but in the same company, but we don't want to give all the project permissions to everybody. So for south people who are working on those projects, so they can able to see only their dashboard. And for example, north region people, they are working on particular project, so they can able to see only particular their projects details. So this kind of security we are going to provide. So that is called RLS, row level security, we are going to apply it. So we'll see that detailed things later, but now I'm going to make it as a generalized view, how this BI is going to be executed, and how it is going to be handled. So the final, and after creating is after applying the security, in case of any maintenance, or for example, it is done, the report is already in the live, and users, the clients are already watching it, and they are going to take the decision that is are happening, and we have give a particular security. And now sometimes they want to do some kind of changes in the existing report. So you want to update the last year comparison or this comparison, so those kind of some things they can able to do it, or that is called maintenance. And sometimes the data may be slow, or it is doing some low performance. At that time we are going to do some kind of performance maintenance. Okay, so that is we can say performance. We can check the performance, and also we can do the maintenance. Okay, we are going to do the some maintenance. So this is all the 9 steps we are going to do it as a data. So this is as a data analyst, we are going to do these kind of complete steps. So as a self introduction also, we are going to tell only these 9 points. See how I'm going to frame this 9 points as my self introduction. Just observe here. So first let me explain. So what is so in this, first let me I just want to explain the what is data collection in the sense. First we are going to identify the data sources. So what are the so understand, first we are going to understand the data sources and identify the data sources. What are the sources? Maybe Excel, or SQL server, or Oracle, or ERP system, or CRM systems, like SAP report. So there are many sources, so we are going to get that collection of data. Okay, then we are going to do the data preparation. What is data preparation? So sorry, data store. We are going to store the data. So what, where we are going to store it data? We are going to store it data into databases or data warehouse. Sometimes sir, we are directly getting data from sometimes directly database. So at that time when you are getting directly data from data warehouse or databases, so this step is not required. But sometimes you are going to get the data from Excel, or like CSV files, that is standalone files. So whenever you are going to get data from standalone files that is not related to servers or website, so then we need to store the data, right? So that is the reason I've just written this storage. But mostly we are not going to directly, most of the time we are going to get the data from is databases or data warehouses. Okay, so that is how the second step is I have just written. So second step is we are storing data into databases or data warehouse. And third step, if you see data preparation, what is this data preparation? So data preparation in the sense, like we are going to, maintain the data in the consistent way. So if you see in the data collection, we may get the raw data, we may get the raw data. Let me write this part. So okay, data sources may be here, we'll get the raw data actually. What raw data? Raw data means which is not processed, not processed data, we are going to get it as a raw data. Okay, so then sometimes if the standalone files are there, so we clean, we bring the raw data and we store it into dbs or data warehouse. Okay, so we are going to store it into DBs and data warehouse. Okay, so that is called data storage. Into, sometimes we store it in data marts, or we have some process of staging layer. So there we are going to store it, but those are all databases only. So as of now, you just keep in mind that we are going to store the data into databases or data warehouses. Okay, so that's how data storage is going to be happen. Then what we are going to do it. So after bringing this raw data and we saving it to the database, so we have to do the data preparation because this is a raw data. So for example, there is a excel data. So in that excel data there are many columns are there, but for the reporting all the columns are not required. And there are many rows are there, that rows are having null values and there are repeated values. And there are some dates are date and year month are different columns, and we have to join that. And we have some uh, we need to create a new column. So those kind of things we have to do it. So those we are going to do that at a data preparation we can consider. So that stage will happen at the data preparation level. So what we are going to do here, so we are going to, in the data preparation, for example, we are going to remove duplicates. Means if there are any repeated values, we are going to remove the duplicates. And we are going to handle the null values. Okay, handle null values. Okay, so and then we are going to join the table. For example, if you have multiple tables are there, so at preparation, so okay, we can joining a union we can write maybe we are going to do the join or union also we can do that, but you will get confused later. So we can create some columns, new columns. Okay, we can calculations and new columns we are going to do. So these kind of things we are going to write it to prepare a data. Okay, so these kind of things are going to happen in the data preparation. What is data modeling? So as I said, in the data modeling, we are going to have two schemas. One is star schema and second one is snowflake schema. So you don't bother about, so what are these concepts? There are many concepts are there. So just I just go through this. First data collection, second data storage, then data preparation. If you want, you can avoid this also. Directly, first you extract the data, then we prepare the data, then data model, then we create visualization, calculations and visualization. Then we create dash, the visualization we are going to create dashboards, right? So we publish it. So how many steps there are? Simply, if you take if roughly we can take it, it is a 6 steps of self introduction and say 6 steps of the complete business process. So this is going to be, you are going to do it as in the real time scenarios. Okay, first you have to understand where the data is coming from and where it is stored, and what is the data preparation you have to do it, and what are the data model, how many tables are there, how many tables we have to join it. So for that joining, we are taking it as relationship. So in the star schema, what relationship we have to create, and that is called modeling. Then after, what calculations are required, new calculations are required. Means, so sometimes we have only some columns which are not enough to analyze the business. So at that time we are going to create new columns, so that by using the calculations and functions. So we'll see that what are calculations and functions, but that step is going to happen. Then that dashboard development. So after dashboard development, we are publishing into servers for stakeholders or clients to review that. Okay, and to take the business decisions. So they are going to be see that reports. Okay, so after that we give some security for only particular clients only we are going to give the security. Then after we maintain the complete dashboard for the years and years. Okay, so that's how like the end of the from the starting to end of the story of the BA. This is simple steps. So what you are going to do, so you can understand the data sources, then we bring the data and prepare the data model and create that dashboard, then we publish it and we send it. So this is how you have to explain your self introduction. So let me explain in brief in the data modeling. So what is going to be happen in the data modeling? Data modeling in the sense, so as this is mainly a data modeling. If you have multiple tables, so if you are having only one table, data modeling is not required. So if you have multiple tables, then only the data modeling is required here. Okay, so now here we are going to use some schemas, like mainly a star schema we are going to use it. So what is star schema, what is snowflake schema, I'll explain you later. But the schema in the sense, like we are going to join this as we have one fact table and multiple dimension table. There is a relation between fact to dimension table, so we'll see that later. So this is, we are in this modeling we are going to create a star schema by using relationships. What are relationships? Okay, this is nothing but it's kind of a, like we are going to create joins of the relationship, maybe a, like one to many. Most of the time we are going to use like one to many relation, most preferable relation, but there are many relation like one to one, one to many, many to one, many to many. So but as of now we are going to do like this kind of data modeling we are going to do it. So okay, so then after, like this is a data modeling. So in this data modeling, we are going to have the fact table always at the center, and dimensions tables will provide some filters. Okay, so that's how, like it is going to be data modeling. Data modeling, this is just you remember as a, it's a kind of joining the multiple tables, that is it. Okay, as of now you just remember that thing. Okay, so then after we are going to, so after data modeling we bring the, so we are going to come to the visualization level. At the visualization level we are going to create some metrics and calculations. How this metrics and calculations, as I mentioned, like we sometimes the data, like we are having only 5 columns, and for example 10 rows. Let's say the 5 columns are not going to be enough to analyze the business. At that time we are going to create the new columns to by writing some functions and logic. So we are going to create some new columns. So that's how, like metrics and calculations are coming to picture. So there we are going to use this kind of things. Okay, that is all about, so metrics and calculation. So we can use functions, create new columns, KPIs, etc. Okay, inside. So yeah. So this is all about. So in this step, we are going to do these kind of things. Then visualization. What we are going to prepare like we are going to drag and drop the fields, which are dimensions and measure, and we are going to show the data in the pictorial format, or like in the visualization format, in the graphical format. Okay, so that's way, like we are going to create the visualization. Okay, representing the data. So this is the sixth step we are going to do. And what about the seventh step? So here you can roughly, instead of 9 steps, you can roughly take it as 6 steps only. Because first data collection, data preparation, data modeling, and visualization, dashboard, and publish. So these are the 7 steps you can explain in every interview, or like everywhere. Like if someone is going to be asked what are your roles and responsibilities, you just indirectly, blindly, you can say these steps. Okay, you can blindly, you can frame the steps, and you can tell your self introduction. So that is the reason in the first class itself, what why I'm going to explain this means, this is a very important, as you are going to be experienced person, you should know this. Okay, so this is the first step, how this is going to be start and how it is going to be end. So that's how, that is the reason I'm going to explain this session right now in the demo class. Okay, so later on I will explain you, like what is later on I am going to take the step-by-step process. What are dimensions, what are measures, what are star schema, what is aggregation, so many types of aggregation, how this data is going to be grouping. So those kind of things we'll see uh, later and slow by. step by step. Okay, so what is publishing and sharing? So we are going to like we are going to publish the dashboards into servers. So okay, we are maintaining the uh, servers. Okay, so to show for clients to review. Okay, so for clients to review, we are going to publishing and security. So what is security is very important, so we cannot publicly publish into the so that the company's data which is going to be an integrity issue, so it is not going to be like that in the pub. We should not say, share this any information to any colleague, any other people from out of the organization, because that is company's data is very important. Okay, so that comes a compliance and integrity issue. So that is the reason we have to be careful, and we have to apply some row level security, or like object level security. Uh, so object level security we are going to provide for the security. Okay, at the server level. Then maintenance slow. After we are going to maintenance means like if some cases the data dashboard is very slow, or like we have to add some more years to the data, or like we have to create new charts or new sheets to analyze the business. So those kind of things are going to be come into picture in the maintenance. Okay, so this is all about like as a self introduction. As a BA developer, you have to follow these steps. Okay, this is the first thing, for this batch. I'm going to save this notes and I will send it to the recording, as well as I'm going to send the notes to you. uh, okay, so previously I do have multiple batches notes, but my laptop got crashed, so all the batches and recordings vanished out. So child store. Okay, so I'll send it. So this is how, the basic, the first class is how this data, and so tomorrow I'll explain what are BA tools are there. So what are the project. So actually I previously I've shared the project flow and data flow. This is a basic self introduction is required. So even if you want, I will explain the project flow and data flow later. So maybe like this comes under a data flow as well. So and you can see, as I told you, by using these steps you can explain your self introduction. For example, let's say if you take let's say Aruna. If, you can say, if you see, for example, myself, you can take it as in myself, Rakesh. I'm I have overall 4 years of experience. Then my role is to I understand the data, bring the data from the stakeholders. I take the requirement from the stakeholders. I understand the data. Then I do the data preparation by doing these steps, and after that I do the data model by using this. And based on the business requirement, I'm going to create new column calculations using functions, and then I create some visualizations which are useful to analyze the business. And then after I'm going to check the validate the dashboard. So for that, data validation is different. So before you there is some data validation steps also. So then after that I used to publish into server, and then I'll apply security and do the maintenance. So these are my roles and daily roles and responsibilities. So you can say this is your self introduction. So here it comes your self introduction, and I'll explain the self introduction clearly later. But as a VA developer, so this is a process we go. Okay, so every way, in any organization, if you go every way, so this is complete process of this course. So before here, in this visualization, we are going to create the dashboards. Okay, after that only you have to do the data validation here. Uh, so we are going to check with the original data. So where is the original data? For example, you have connected with SQL server, so you are going to write the queries at SQL server, and whatever the output which is coming from SQL server, that is matching with the dashboard or not. So that is called cross checking. So that is called data validation. So after data validation, we are going to publish it into and publishing and sharing it. So that is how, like, check with the original data, like, so this is how, like, the self introduction and the process flow of the BA or a data analyst process flow, it goes like this. Okay, so this is all about for today's class. Just I'll provide the recording, just go through it, and just go through it tomorrow. Like, I sharply start with 10 o'clock. Maybe, like, for this, maybe like we are going to have it today class, like, tomorrow, but as you know, right? So we are going to work from Monday to Friday, not Saturday and Sunday most of the time. But our class regularly start from Monday to Friday only. Saturday, Sunday we are going to off. But if sometimes if you are okay, but when I'm available also at that time also I take it. But Saturday I'm not going to be available for this week. So every week also Monday to Friday regular classes will happen. So I'll explain step by step step process. If you don't understand also, you can ask me at any point of time, and you can stop me in between, and you can raise your questions as well. So how this goes, and you can cross check this, and if you have any doubts, you can get clarified in the class, or not. If not in the class, so you can come to the institute, and you can offline itself you can ask me, so I'll explain you in detail, uh, like, in the detail with examples, so that you will get understood very easily. So without, like, here you don't act to whether you are understood or not. So because you are going to be work as live location, so you have to understand it perfectly. So if you don't understand, don't hesitate to ask me. So because um, even I can learn from you even if I don't know anything also. So I don't hesitate to ask something, like, if I don't know about something. Okay, so I don't want to be a blind later on. So that is the reason. So you should don't hesitate to ask any simple questions. And because this is the starting class itself, from tomorrow onwards the main concepts are like, aggregation and granularity, and what is data, dimensions and measures. So those kind of concepts are very basic concepts and very important concepts for the data analysis. So for the further classes, you don't hesitate to, like, if you don't understand itself, so you can come to, if you even if you are, like, fearing about something, so you can come to institute, and in person you can ask me. Okay, so that I'll help you out. So but uh, try to, like, follow everyday classes. And as of now, so actually I have provided some recordings to you. In my previous recordings I have like, I have given some, for some people I have provided, but some of the people I did not. So you just go through that recordings. If you want to provide me the recordings, so I'll provide all the recordings. So we do have already existing records, and there are many batches happen. So, and you can take that recording. If you see, like, Jan 25 and Tableau recording, Power BI recordings, and previous recordings are also there. There are many recordings also there. But what happened, like, uh, the hard disk has crashed out some, like, last 2 3 months back. So I lost every all the recordings. So this is a different one. So this is a different batch, I've told them. uh, this is another recordings. So there are many. I'll provide these recordings. If you want, you can share your mail ID, and so that you can